I did not know about the deal with Pidgeot, and I think that's a huge deal. Over here, we saw that. All right, let's just get right into the accompanying remarks. This is a 9-page document which kind of highlights all the interesting, intricate details that maybe Alex didn't touch on, but you and me are gonna do it right now. So 17th of February, it came out. What are the takeaways? $1.54 billion, 44% growth. Bless. Commercial revenue growth has been accelerating, resulting in 47% year-over-year growth. This number is a banger. 19, 28, 37, 47. They're just killing it. And remember, this is with their limited headcount in sales. So if you take a look here, revenues, right? Foundry, one of their biggest commercial products, came out in 2018. In 2019, they were at 50 mil. In 2020, 100 mil. 2021, 200 mil. So they've been doubling up every year, back to back, with their limited headcount. And you might be saying, why do I care about their limited headcount, Chad? Why does it matter? Let me tell you why it matters. Because as the training of this headcount gets more and more in depth, and then these new headcounts get more comfortable in doing their sales, this number is going to go up like a hockey stick, guaranteed. So let's look at this. Our US commercial net dollar retention was 150. That means people are spending more money, same customers, more revenues. 2021. They started 2021 with 17 commercial customers, ended with 80. Great. They did a 4x. Whatever. When you start small, you can always say great things. But here is the details. Here is everything you need to know, my friends. So pay attention. We exceeded our Salesforce hiring goal in 2021 across our businesses and across geographies. We started 2021 with 12 commercial sales reps, 6 who have been with us for more than 9 months, and ended the year with 80, 25 who've been with us for more than 9 months. The team contributed to our strong US commercial results, and we plan to continue to hire aggressively. Now, let's look at this chart, okay? This is business, okay? This, you need to take off your numbers hat and put on your business hat. There's a reason why they say 9 months. There's absolutely a reason why they stress sales headcount over 9 months and sales headcount in total, including those that are fresh. Now, the reason why is when you sell a complex product, a complex solution, something that's sophisticated. And when I say complex, I mean complex in terms of pricing, complex in terms of determining customer needs, complex in terms of making the pitch to help customers understand that they need this deal. It's not easy. We saw it before. I think it was here in the earnings where, look, 64 deals, of which 19 deals are more than 10 million. So when you're doing big pitches like that, it is not as simple as, get your credit card out, go on the www page and go to the cart and then hit the buy, and that's it. You have our software. It's not like that. This is a lot more complex, and each deal and each exec in each company think they're the most important person in the world. So this needs high caliber individuals who know what they're doing, who know what they're talking about, and who can close the deal. So 9 months. Why does this matter? If you go back to the presentation where Alex Karp does talk about hiring salespeople, looking at what the industry is doing, trying to understand what the industry is doing, and try to come up with something similar. It's a long process, and here they've said 9 months or more because other big firms who are in the ERP world, who are in the operating system world, work with the same premise. And I'm going to give you an example, which is SAP. And I told someone on the internet this on Twitter because they said something stupid. It's like, yeah, it's disappointing that Palantir's margins are going to be negatively impacted because of hiring these salespeople. And it's going to have a pressure on margins because it takes a long time for these people to ramp up. But the truth is, that's business. If you don't hire salespeople, you're not going to be able to sell and expand your sales channel, your distribution channels. So you need to invest in your business. That's just good business. So don't even come at me with that type of shit, And the truth is, the inexperience of people stand out a lot when they say stuff like this, because you could just go on the SAP's website. It's public information, my guy. It's public. You could do this yourself. SAP says for 2022, they have a 9-month program to help build the foundation. People travel to a school in Ireland where they get 9 months training to understand the ERP software, to be able to pitch it and to not look like a clown if customers challenge you. Then in year 2 and 3, they're complementing their learning experience. They're getting on like regular sales coaching, learning focused on sales and operational excellence, career leadership development, peer-to-peer mentoring and learning. Like, this sales learning curve is quick. You're not selling knives at people's door. You're not selling vitamins. You're selling something complicated, and you're selling them to the biggest companies, the Fortune 500 companies in the world, where people are fucking geniuses sitting in the boardroom. And when you're pitching a deal for a multi-million-dollar license, you're not supposed to look like an idiot. You need to know what you're doing. So with that being said, the fact that they were able to have 25 head count with more than 9 years experience, 25 heads, and they were able to land 64 deals in the year of more than 1 million each, or 19 deals of 10 million or more. That goes to show that these head counts, they know what they're doing. They're making new deals, and they're probably expanding deals with current customers. And look, we got 55 people here waiting on the sidelines. They're waiting to get trained. They're waiting to get better at what they do. They're shadowing these 25 people. They're doing what they have to do, and they're probably working on smaller deals. And the more experienced are working on bigger deals. And don't get me wrong, there's probably amazing sales headcount there that are already worked on many, many deals in the past, and they're very comfortable in their skin, but they just need to get a better understanding of the product and its offerings. Because if you know Palantir Foundry, and if you've been watching Alex Karp's videos and interviews, they have over 300 modules in Palantir Foundry. Each of those modules could be a product. So these sales teams have to really be quick on their feet and understand, okay, well, this is what this guy needs. Let me pitch in this module, and then we can decide about how we're going to expand, rather than, looking like a deer that seeing a car come to hit it, and just look confused when someone says, I need this, that, and the other, and you have no idea what your product can offer. So this is huge. And I just need to stress this out, that they were able to kill it, and they grew their revenues they grew customers from 17 to 80. They doubled their revenues every year, 48 to 100 to 200, with 6 experienced headcounts, 25 experienced headcounts. This is only going to get better. I'm confident this number is going to be a lot more bigger going forward. So keep that in your head before you start freaking out about things because somebody tweeted it. Now, in 2021, non-US commercial revenue growth was 16%, and net dollar retention was 103%. So this non-commercial, they said it lagged behind the US, and that's because the US is always spending money. And during COVID, the US commercial businesses, a lot of them, it was still business as usual. They adopted the mask mandates, they adopted what they needed to do, and everyone kept it tight. So US businesses were always innovating and spending money. Whereas in Europe, where it's where they were more impacted by COVID, and they've always been a bit more conservative as to how they spend their dollars. They need to be convinced, and when they're convinced, then the Europeans will run the mission, to invest in something. So it's different cultures, different worlds. Americans are always gun ho, and they always go in quick, and they get things done. Europeans, it's a bit different. So having said that, they said here They closed substantial deals in Europe, including with Merck. We knew about this. And Pidgeot. I did not know about the deal with Pidgeot, and I think that's a huge deal. Over here, we saw that Pidgeot it was seeded as the second best-selling car brand in Europe. They sold over 700,000 units. So that's a big deal. That's a big deal. It's a big deal. You know, Palantir is doing business with a company that moves 700,000 units in 2021. In South Korea, we announced our partnership with Hyundai Heavy Industries. I remember this. Everybody was so excited. In Japan, we accelerated our work with Komatsu and Fujitsu through Palantir Japan Technologies KK, our joint venture with Sompo Holdings. If you don't know Sompo Holdings is a huge insurance firm, and they actually are dabbling in a lot of different businesses. In 2022, we intend to adopt a hiring plan for our non-US commercial business that is similarly aggressive to the one we implemented for our US commercial business in 2021, including hiring sales reps across France, Germany, Swiss, Spain, Italy, Nordics, the UK, Benelux, the Middle East, and South Korea, and elsewhere. I'm actually going to be honest with you, I have never heard of Benelux. What is that? The Benelux Union, also known as simply Benelux, is a political economic union and formal international between three neighboring states: Western Europe, Belgium, Netherlands, and Luxembourg. Okay, all right, that's interesting. We also expanded our partner ecosystem across commercial businesses in 2021, including IBM, Stern Stewart, Alex Partners, Data Robot. We launched Founders for Builders and our strategic investment program to capture the opportunity for Foundry to be the developer platform for the next generation of companies in United States and abroad. Great. Governments. What is going on with governments? First, it was Palantir's too dependent on government revenues. Then it was Palantir doesn't have enough governments. So let's go into the details. Let's try to understand what's going on with governments. Before I do, let me take a sip of water, because I don't have time to edit. It's like 11:30 right now. I don't have time. I'm just gonna post this. I'm just gonna do it. Okay. In the fourth quarter of 2021, our government business revenue grew 26%. Okay, year over year. So a lot of people, and myself included, if you say, oh yeah, we grew our government revenue Q4 over Q4, 2020, 2021, 26%, it's not like leaps and bounds, you know, it's impressive given how big their numbers are, but it's not like, oh my God, they are killing it. And even if they did, I know for a fact people would still be like, oh my God, their commercial revenue is so small compared to government. Like, what is going on? They're so dependent on government. The narrative always flip-flops, in my opinion. That's why I cut that noise out, because people just want to write anything and get those clicks, get their ad revenues, and that's it. You know, they don't really care about giving you a complete picture of information. So just be mindful of that. So for the full year, government revenue grew 47% with a net dollar retention of 146. That means they're continuing to grow business with the government. So that's great. I know average revenue per government customer grew from 7 to 10. So our average revenues are growing. They're growing. I can't hate. They're growing. Against a backdrop of growing geopolitical threats, our software continued to serve the needs of our most vital institutions. Our newest products, from Edge AI, Meta Constellation to Gaia and Cosmos, are being leveraged on the front lines of the near-peer fight. What does near-peer mean? Used to describe communication activity between people or organizations that are very similar or nearly equal. Oh God, okay. Near peer. Okay, so I think what they're alluding to here is, obviously I didn't want to make the assumption, but they said are being leveraged on the front lines of near peer fights. So that definitely reminds me of Russia and Ukraine. You know, Ukraine has it in their constitution that they want to be part of NATO, which is a military alliance of Western nations with similar values. So the near peer fight in this case, I believe, is the US and Ukraine and Russia situation there. And, you know, it's actually pretty hilarious because every time Russia moves its assets around, the US is like, today they did this.
The latest US intel reports suggests that Moscow has in fact added more than 7,000 combatants near the borders of Ukraine. The US officials have directly accused Russia of lying.
And Russia's probably like, God damn it. And then Russia's like, yeah, we moved tanks out. Check out our video, you know? And the US is like, yo, that's so 2015. They're like, US is like, yeah, they moved the tanks, but they're also moving in
Russian armoured vehicles, helicopters, and a field hospital moving towards Ukraine's border. The West has warned that there is fresh evidence of Russia mobilising for war.
Looks like they're going to go to war any day now. And Russia's just like, God damn, how do you guys know this? And obviously it's because of the meta constellation, right, that Palantir has set up. Like, Palantir has set something up which is beautiful, is that they don't have like one satellite from one commercial provider that's feeding the meta constellation. They have many different companies in this constellation grabbing imagery. So let's say the Russian intelligence agencies or the Russian military agencies tried to shut down a satellite network, they would literally have to kill everything, because all these satellite assets in the sky, a lot of them are now affiliated with Palantir, or most of them are. And if Russia want to indiscriminately shut down everything, then they'll have to blow everything up out of the sky. And they're not going to do that because they also probably have satellites doing imagery for the Russians, for themselves. So it's just beautiful to see how Palantir is preventing wars from happening by allowing the US to be so vocal about every single thing the Russians are doing. You know, if someone goes out to take a leak, I'm sure the Americans know about it. So the fact is that all of this information is being used as a deterrence, you know, to stop war, because war is the best war is a war you avoid. You can't have wars. Wars is not good. And it breaks my heart whenever I think about wars, to think like, you know, men and women who would rather be at the bar drinking with their friends, having a good time with their families, and this, that, or the other, are now being forced into uniform to go die out in the field in freezing temperatures, while the older political figures, the older men, are just sitting in their nice little offices, you know, and just putting out all these people in harm's way. You know, if I think there's going to be a war, you know, in my type of universe, if I was able to have any influence, I would just say wars need to be decided like the Olympic Games. You know, just pick your, you know, your 10 games. One side gets to pick their 5, the other side gets to pick 5. Out of the 10 games, whoever wins the most games settles the beef, you know. So if it's, oh, this territory needs to be part of my country, then both sides need to agree to it. And the truth is, if one side's more inferior than the other, then guaranteed that if there's a war, the inferior side is gonna lose, you know. So it just makes more sense, you know. It'd probably be more entertaining. They could make it a huge blockbuster event that people buy in, you know, and the inferior person who loses gets that as proceeds to recoup their, you know, their losses. One can dream, right? Anyways, so Gotham, Foundry, and Apollo are coming together to deliver AI-enabled missions across logistics, readiness, ops, blah, blah, blah. Okay, from space to mud. U.S. Force replaced the JMS with Foundry. Space Force Foundry instance called Warp Core is now the principal source of space situational awareness. Palantir also won its 3rd program of record in the Army's DCGS-CD2, with many more in pursuit. We continue to see significant potential in the Army's Titan program, in which our participation demonstrates our ability to deliver complex integrated hardware and software solutions. Of course. So, you know, Palantir is definitely a big player in the government. Here they just mention a lot of stuff again, blah, blah, blah. I don't see numbers, so let's just go straight through it. Again, same thing. This is it. We continue to pursue a large number of opportunities with the US government and its allies. And in the United States, we're monitoring the continuing resolution and budget negotiations while continuing to deliver our software to our partners where they need it most. Interesting. So what they're telling us is 2 things. They're chasing after big deals. Great. 2, they're actually working out budget negotiations while the customer is using the software. So that means that there's a potential that the customer says, yo, I can't afford this anymore and I gotta leave. Or, you know, your competitor is offering it to do it for free. And we gotta leave. This is a big risk. But, I really do think that anybody that's sleeping on, no one's gonna sleep on Palantir. You know why? Because people understand that Palantir stands for America. People, they do not compromise on their values for protecting America, even when it's not popular. And when I say even when it's not popular, I'm talking about, you know, the Border Enforcement Agency. You know, when ICE was using Palantir software to, you know, identify this, that, and the other and make arrests to eventually deport people or move them from the country, this was very unpopular. And it was a big scandal on the Google side, and Google people were going, you know, screaming about it and were really upset. And Palantir, there was employees who were totally not approving it, and they stuck to their guns and they said, look, this is a service for the government and the government needs a service. It's critical for the government to do this type of border enforcement. And because of that, you know, if it doesn't align, then, you know, we're sorry, but we're going to have to do this, you know, and they didn't regret it. They didn't even pivot away from it. So that's interesting to see. You know, the company has values, and whether it's a Republican Party or the Democratic Party or a third party in government in the US, all of them know that Palantir is focused on America first, in the sense of protecting America, protecting America's vital institutions, and really allowing Americans to live a free world, you know, to have all their rights. So Palantir is really about that. And I feel like, you know, that can make a difference for some. Maybe not everybody. Maybe someone just says, no, the money is what matters. But then when it comes to top secretive things, it's going to be Palantir. Not anyone can get into it. That's what Alex was saying. Alex was saying that some people, startups now trying to get into US government are doomed. Like, there's no way they're going to be able to crack that barrier and get inside. And maybe there might be some others who are already doing business with Palantir that might be able to, but the biggest competitors are the internal firms, the internal IT departments, the consultants who are convincing governments or companies that they can do a cheaper solution, which I don't believe is true, because we've seen it happen before. It was right here. They used to have JMS in the US Space Force, and now it's replaced by Foundry. Simple as that. All right, so product is everything. Without product, you're nobody. In 2021, companies accelerated their adoption of Foundry as software infrastructure on which they are able to build their own software and deploy such software in the market. In addition to existing products built on top of Foundry, including Skywise at Airbus and Athena at Swiss Re, Athenia was launched in Q4 2021 as part of a partnership with Merck to deliver software to drive quality and yield in semiconductor manufacturing. This is huge. In addition, a top global pharmaceutical company launched a clinical trial harmonization offering on top of Foundry targeted at biopharmaceutical companies. Similar opportunities continue to develop across multiple industries. Gotham continued to deliver new capabilities for the West and its allies against our most significant threats. We pushed our Edge AI capabilities into space, where Edge AI has powered first-of-its-kind image formation on board satellites to enable real-time georegistration, interferencing, and actioning. Gotham's foundational investments in an industry-leading security model, cross-nation classification based on access controls, and unique information sharing capabilities enabled allies in the Pacific Theater to securely share and collaborate on emerging threats. Pacific Theater sounds like China. We built Apollo to enable us to continuously deliver Foundry and Gotham to new operational environments, from the public cloud to private clouds, classified environments, on-premise deployments, and at the extreme edge. Okay. Ooh. Ooh, okay. Additional financial results. We generated year-over-year revenue growth of 34% in Q4 2021, bringing fourth quarter revenue to 433. For the full year, 1.54, 41%. Okay, we've already seen this. So total revenue growth is consistently growing. Very good, very good. Okay, so we're on page 5. Through 2021, strong margins across our business, even as we continue to make investments to drive long-term growth. Fourth quarter 2021 adjusting op 124. Okay, these are numbers we already went through. As a result of the momentum that we achieved in 2021, we are investing further in distribution efforts across our commercial businesses in 2022, with a particular focus on sales hiring internationally, including in Europe and Asia, while we continue to scale our sales team across the US. New deals: US Air Force, US Army, US Department of HHS, Health and Human Services. We generated strong deal activity in fourth quarter, and we continue to broaden our distribution efforts across industries and customer size. In the fourth quarter, we closed 64 deals of 1 million or more. This we saw. For the full year, oh, we didn't see this before. For the full year 2021, we closed 212 deals of 1 million or more, including 105 of 5 million or more, or 64 of 10 million or more. So $640 million right there. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. Not a joke. God damn, 64 deals of 10 million more. That's $640 million in deals. That's more than half a billion. Total contract value booked in Q4 2021 was 678 million, up 5% quarter over quarter and slightly lower than the prior period. Oh, what? Oh my God. What? Total contract value booked in Q4 2021 was 678 million, up 5% quarter over quarter, but slightly lower than the prior year period. So last year into Q4 2020, they had a higher amount. Okay. As a reminder, we signed a 250 million renewal with one of our commercial customers in the fourth quarter of 2020. Okay, yeah, so that was exceptional. Excluding the effect of this renewal, fourth quarter TCV grew 48% year over year. Okay, no shit. Okay. Our strategic investment programs contributed to 181 million in TCV booked. Okay. So a lot of things going on here, okay, fellas? So what we're going to do right now is they said 678. Of 678, they had 181. So 678. So 497 is pre-SPAC, 428. So 497 over 428. It's like what? It's 15%. Yeah, that's kind of what I was expecting. Yeah, from before. So 15% if you exclude their strategic investment. So that means their SPAC deals that are outstanding. Fourth quarter 2021 billings increased 67% year over year, an acceleration from 56% in Q3. Though several government customers have moved from annual to quarterly billing cycles, creating a headwind to billings in the period. Remaining performance obligations as of December 31st increased 85%, 1.1 billion. Remaining performance obligations. So it's like the deals they signed, and they're saying that, okay, well, we have 1.1 billion left to complete those deals. As a reminder, remaining performance obligations understates our visibility into our business, as it does not consider obligations beyond termination for convenience clauses or contracts with initial duration of 12 months or less, which are common in our government business. Okay, let's reread that, okay? As a reminder, remaining performance obligations understates our visibility into our business, as it does not consider obligations beyond termination for convenience clauses, or contracts with initial durations of 12 months or less, which are common in government business. Okay. I got you. So remaining performance obligations means beyond a 12-month scope. And a lot of their government deals are 12 months or less, so they're not in this number because they're annual renewals. Okay. We ended 2021 with 3.8 billion in total remaining deal value, a 35% increase from prior year. I was actually worried about this because I noticed in their presentation, I was thinking about it before, is in the presentation in Q3, they spoke about deal value, but in Q4, it was nowhere to be found. They didn't talk about it. So I actually wondered, like, oh shit, did something crazy happen? Or I guess they just didn't think it was value added to the conversation, because deal value, they don't give the breakdown of how long they're going to earn it. The deal value can be earned over many years or over 2-3 years. It depends on the customers. So doesn't add lots of value, to be honest. So 3.8 billion. As a reminder, this does not include roughly 2.8 billion in indefinite delivery and indefinite quality awards related to our government business. As we have broadened our distribution efforts and accelerated our go-to-market strategy, we are seeing modest compression in contract duration. Dollar-weighted average contract duration was 3.5 years as of December 2021. We ended the year with 965 million in remaining deal value from our strategic investments program. So what this means is, in that total 3.8 billion, almost 1 billion is related to SPACs. And the thing about SPACs is, if none of those companies exist in 5-10 years, their actual deal value is only 2.8 billion. That's the takeaway. Trailing 12-month revenue per customer, 6.5 million, down sequentially and reflecting continued acceleration. As we invest in our sales team and channel partners, we would expect average revenue per customer to continue to taper as a result of our growing customer count, of course. However, we continue to demonstrate strong execution and expanding relationships with existing customers, as trailing 12-month revenue per top 20 customer was 43.6 million, up 31%. Fourth quarter adjusted gross margin was 83% when excluding stock-based comp, while full year was 82%. Margins are down year over year, reflecting the ongoing investments we are making in distribution to support long-term growth. Well, no shit. Full year 2021 was 58, up 400 basis points. Fourth quarter 2021 income from operations, excluding stock-based comp and a related employee payroll, was 124. Full year, okay, great. Adjusted gross margin 17 to 31. Adjusted operating margin, okay, so that's good. Hey, that's interesting, right? Their adjusted operating margin, even when excluding SBC, was -7. And now in Q1 2021, which was the beginning of last year, they're at 34. It's good. Fourth quarter 2021 adjusted expenses, when excluding stock-based compensation and related employer payroll taxes, was 309 million, up 42% year over year. As we have done throughout 2021, we are investing heavily in our go-to-market efforts, including building our direct sales team, as well as growing our marketing spend. Fourth quarter 2021 marketing expenses grew 65% quarter over quarter. Fourth quarter, the expenses for marketing grew 65%. And we expect it to meaningfully grow our marketing efforts in 2022 to continue supporting our growing sales team and other distribution channels. Okay, well, that's the business, right? When you're trying to grow sales, you're growing spend in marketing, salaries, bonuses, commissions. It's that, the other. It's like, it's inevitable. Fourth quarter 2021 adjusted earnings per share, 0.02 cents, which includes a -2 cent impact driven primarily by unrealized losses on marketable securities. So it would have been 4 cents. We expect continued volatility in EPS as a result of these holdings. Nothing new here. We committed 461 million in investments related to our strategic investments program in 2021, of which 326 had closed. Wow. So almost $1 billion in commitments in total. 326 done, so they have 140 in the pipeline. In the fourth quarter, roughly revenue from customers related to strategic investment program was 26%, or 6% of fourth quarter revenue, which is not bad. which is not bad. And it's a lot less, when you think about, when people say, oh, Palantir's buying our revenues, they're really not, because they're investing in these companies and their ownership in these companies are like not even 1%. So it's a good way to get, it's a lot cheaper than paying for marketing or fancy lunches, dinners, and that might not yield into anything. Now you have ownership in the company. Guidance for the first quarter of 2022, we expect revenue of 443. For full year 2022, we expect an adjusted operating margin of 27%, and we expect an adjusted free cash flow margin to track adjusted operating margin on a modest lag. Continue to execute the guidance strategy set forth by our CEO Alex Karp in our year-end 2020 earnings call. With regard to long-term revenue guidance, we're providing and will continue to provide a guidance of 30% or greater revenue growth for this year and the next 3 years at each earnings call. Okay. I love that they didn't pivot away from that. Like, they're being very honest and frank with you. So that's pretty much it for the accompanying remarks. I'm asking myself, like, did I miss anything? The only things where I felt like it kind of a bit woozy was where they mentioned that they're still doing budget negotiations with the US government. I don't think it's because the US government is trying to get out of a deal, but maybe it's more to upsell and get more dollars out of the US government. So that could take some time, because usually budgets are just set up to be the same as last year with minor adjustments. So if the governments have to find money for a deal, it means a lot of schmoozing and a lot of calls. So let's see where that goes. So in the accompanying remarks, overall, I think the takeaway was very positive. Another thing that really did, I guess, surprise me to a certain degree is that their earnings per share on a diluted basis was impacted by 2 cents. That's what we call a short-term impact, right? People say, oh, if you're worried about short-term impact, then you might not take certain risks that can benefit the company. And in this case, if the management was really worried about short-term impact and, hitting the EPS numbers, then they probably would have stayed away from all these SPACs, because everybody knows SPACs are very volatile and it could swing up or down. So the fact that they have been swinging down, it did impact Palantir's unrealized losses, which is what flows into the EPS. So that is something to think about. I do think that management might eventually start trying to consider if they can carve out the SPAC investments for an adjusted EPS, but we'll see. It's all very new. We'll see. If they didn't do it now, I don't think they're going to do it anytime soon. With that being said, I hope this run through was helpful. Obviously, it was a lot longer than I expected. It was 30 minutes, but that's because I'm rambling and sharing my thoughts too as we go on. If you like what you're hearing, then definitely hit the subscribe button. It would mean a lot to me. Hit the like button. It'll do a lot for the algorithm to help other people find my video and allow me to share that knowledge with you and others. So thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.